fast lane, no coasting, and everything is gonna be all right. We talking about love is transactional tonight. What do y'all know about love being transactional? Huh? What do you know about love being transactional? Well, let me explain. Let me explain if you don't already know, because a lot of y'all might already know. And even if you don't know, it doesn't mean that you can't learn. All right, so when we say that love is transactional, we're talking about when basically nothing that you do that deals with your heart, that deals with your feelings, that deals with your emotions is free. Basically, we're saying that if you do this for me, then I'll do this for you. Or you could be saying that the only way that you're going to be able to get this is if you do this for me. So it can be transactional. It doesn't necessarily have to be like an exchange of money. It can be more of a situation where there's just going to be some type of assurance, guarantee that for one thing to happen, then the other thing is going to have to happen. For one thing to happen, then the other thing is going to have to happen. So when you say that your love is transactional, you may have practiced this in your life, or you may know somebody who has definitely practiced this in their lives before. So, if you the easy one is the easy one pretty much deals with sex. Like, the world's oldest profession has been going on since the beginning of time. Who knows how long that has been going on? But it's different when you start talking about matters of the heart. See, the body is one thing, but the heart is another thing. So when you talk about only giving your feelings to somebody, only giving your love to somebody, you're not talking about the same thing as giving your body to somebody. You're not talking about the same thing as being physically with somebody for an exchange of money or whatever. So some people have done this when it comes to kids. Yeah, some people have brought kids into this world under the agreement, like, well, the only way that I'm going to have children with you, the only way that we're going to reproduce is if I can be sure that you're going to be there, or you're going to be able to take care of the children financially. Now, for a lot of people, that might sound like the thing to do. Like, oh, well, what's the problem? What's the problem? Children have to be provided for and everything like that. But when you're still talking about matters of the heart, when you're still talking about whether I'm going to be able to give you my love, give you my heart, give you my emotions, give you my feelings, give you the spice of life, give you the spice of will I be able to do it? Will we be able to fill in the blanks and get through it? Yeah. Will I be able to lay down? I'm not talking about a physical thing. Or will I be around? Yeah, will you be there forever, baby? Will you make sure the ties never sit? Will you always be my wife? Will you always be there for the fan, be in my life? Yeah, I was always there for you, but were you there for me, or will you come through? What up, Vita? What's going on? How you feeling? And who's that? What's that? Rex Boy? Rex Boy, what's good? He said Ricky Ricardo Babaloo. Well, not exactly that, but when your love is transactional. What do you know about your love being? Your love, not your body. Love, not your body. Love your body. We getting into Throwback Thursday, baby. Throwback Thursday, all up in your area. We about to get into it, man. I'm gonna play this beat for y'all, and then we pretty much just gonna go ahead and rock. I gotta go to this beat that I wanted to do before. So hold on, let me get this thing together. Let me get it together because I did it earlier. You know what I'm saying? Thursday. Hold on. Throwback Thursday. Hold on. Let me get it right. Throwback Thursday. Let's go. Let's play a little something. Let's get into it. There we go. That's it. That's what I wanted. That's that. And we are here and we are in motion. We do this thing, taking off fast lane, no coasting. Let's get into it. Let's go. Urban Therapy with Sun 752, and this your daily, the daily go-getter-mism show. You think it ain't when it is? You think it won't when it is? We are here and we are in motion. We do this thing, taking off fast lane, no coasting, and everything is gonna be all right. We talking about what? Love being transactional tonight. What's good, y'all? What's good? All right. What up? My man Troy Diesel is in the house. What's good? What's up, my dude? What's up? And also Carrie Zilla. Carrie Zilla says need more cowbell. That's what's up. And Randall says, do you advise investing in real estate? Yep, I used to do it. Was getting crazy money back in the 90s and the early 2000s. Ace World. What up? What up, Ace World? What's good? So we're talking about when your love is transactional. When love is transactional, you know, I mean, everybody pretty much knows what I'm talking about or what anybody is talking about when you say that sex is transactional. But when you start talking about your heart being transactional, when the way that you feel is going to be transactional, you know, that's a different type of transaction. It's a different type of feeling. It's a different type of action. It's a different type of response. Like, how would you handle this? How would you handle a situation where somebody told you that in order for me to have feelings for you, you're going to have to do this, that, and the third? Now, to you, it might not sound that bad. It might not sound that bad. Like, you have a right to be with whoever you want to be with in the way that you want to be with them. Understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't have a problem with that. You have a right to be with whoever you want to be with in the way that you want to be with them. So if somebody told you that in order for you to be with them, you're going to have a good job, you're going to have a future, you're going to have to create a safe space, you're going to have to, have your stuff together. That probably wouldn't sound all that bad. However, if somebody goes a little bit deeper and they tell you, in order for me to have feelings for you, you're going to have to do something else for me. See, it's a little bit harder. You can be with whoever you want to be with, but you can't necessarily feel the way that you want to feel with everybody. Your heart doesn't allow you to pick and choose. But if you can convince somebody that you are able to make your heart pick and choose, then you might have a way of controlling them and controlling the situation. Now, the question might come along, well, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to control your emotions? Why would you want to control your feelings for somebody? Well, I mean, that's pretty simple. Who within the sound of my voice has never gotten their feelings hurt before? If you've ever gotten your feelings hurt before, you probably did everything in your power to try to keep your feelings from getting hurt ever again. You know what I mean? Like remember Mary J. Blige said, I've been there and I've done that, but I promise never to be hurt again. Be hurt again. Now, you can say that I will never allow myself to put my heart out there again. I will never let nobody play with my feelings. What do they say nowadays? I ain't gonna let nobody play in my face. I ain't gonna let nobody play in my face. I'll never let nobody play around with my heart again. It's easy to say, but it's a little bit harder to follow through. It's a little bit harder to make that come true as true as you want it to be. When you start to develop feelings for somebody, it doesn't really care. The heart doesn't really care about what they have done for you or what your requirements are. It starts to grow in the way that you want it to grow. Now, will you allow it to show? Will you allow yourself to show the feelings that you have for somebody, whether or not they do for you what you want them to do? That's the hard part. That's when it gets tricky. That's when things get a little When was the last time y'all fell in love, man? When was the last time you fell in love? And I mean really fell in love. I'm not going to ask you when the last time you've loved, because you may love right now, but when was the last time you fell in love? And you know the feelings that I'm talking about. When you fall in love with somebody, it's an eye-opening experience, and it's also a very controlling experience. You feel something come over you, and it makes you, and falling in love with somebody will make you do things that you wouldn't ordinarily do. It will make you come up with ideas that you wouldn't ordinarily come up with. It will make you perform actions that you wouldn't normally, perform. It can get crazy. It can get crazy. Carmise Branch, what's good? How you feeling? Good to see me some you. Without a doubt, without a doubt. Karen, what's good? And Carmise Branch says, nope, keep those feelings then. All right. And Bryce D says, back at it like a crack addict. That's what I'm talking about. Back at it like a crack addict. No doubt. Bars. Carrie Zilla says, I can't help it. Can't help it. And she says, 2005, my husband. That was the last time you fell in love. Okay. All right, Carmi's Bread says, not looking to fall in love either. Too much control over my heart. So you starting to understand what I'm talking about. If you feel like when you felt, oh my God, hold on, y'all. Man, I'm here talking. Hold on, let me get the mic on. No, we ain't got to do it like this. Let me get the mic on. You know what I'm saying? We not doing this. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. I'm talking to y'all off the mic. There we go. We can get a little bit clearer. Let's talk in HD. We ain't gotta do it like that. We a little bit better. I think it's a little bit better. You can plug the mic in. You know what I mean? Plug the mic in. Go straight from the voice box, to the speaker box. Okay. So you know what I'm talking about, Carmise. You know what I'm talking about when you say, if you've ever felt like, a falling in love has too much control over your heart, then you know what it's like to have your heart played around with. And when somebody plays around with your feelings or has total disregard for your feelings or the love that you have and what you're willing to share and the things that you're willing to do, when you have somebody who doesn't value that, somebody that just sort of puts your heart inside of a vice and keeps tightening it up until that thing just busts and squirts and makes a whole mess, yeah, you might make your love transactional after that. In other words, in order for you to ever get me there again, then you're going to have to do everything in your power to make me trust to that level for me to let go again. Letting go ain't easy. Going might be easy, but letting go ain't easy. I hope I'm not confusing nobody, but going is sometimes easy. Like going might have nothing to do. The only thing going might have to do with is a physical attraction. Like, yeah, that person is pretty, or that person is handsome. They got a good job. They have a lot of upside or whatever. Yeah, I'll take a chance on this. You know what I mean? Put the dice in my hand. I'll roll them. Going is a little easier, but letting go. Like you've been on this emotional rope, and you ain't far from the ground, but you ain't trying to hit the ground. Like, nope, I'm going to stay up here in the air. Because last time I let go, even though I was close to the ground, I still wound up breaking my hip. I twisted my ankle. You know what I mean? I bust my head wide open. Or at least that's the way it felt to me when somebody played around with me. So from now on, in order for me to show my feelings, in order for me to give my love, in order for me to let go and give my all to somebody, well, this is what you're going to have to do. So you might require that they pay their way in or stay their way in. Now, how can you be sure that somebody is going to be with you forever and ever and ever and ever, ever, and never ever leave you or play around with you or change in any kind of way? How can you guarantee that? You can't guarantee it. So you might say, well, look, I better get all I can from this situation, because love ain't forever and feelings ain't for free. They cost. So I better set my price. I better set my price, and I better not negotiate with it. When your love is transactional, not your body, but your love. How do you show love to somebody? How do you show somebody that you love them? They say love is a lot of people say that love is an action. It's a verb. It's an action word, right? Well, what do you do when you love somebody? And please don't get shallow on me, y'all. Don't do me like that. Don't tell me like, well, y'all females. Yeah, when I love a man, I cook for him. I give him my body all the time. And no, I don't know. And that ain't it. How do you show love to somebody? You understand what I'm saying? When you show somebody that you love them, you normally want to put your stamp on that. You normally want a person to understand that you love them, unless you are afraid to love them. You normally want to show a person and make a person know and understand how much you love them, care for them, unless you are afraid of loving them because you don't think that they will treat your love with kindness, with care, with respect, with dignity. When your love is transactional, baby, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Ace World says, I love more than one. Okay. Well, how do you show love to more than one? Each one. Or do you get them all in a room and be like, all right, I'm going to show y'all how much I love y'all. Come on, girls. Let me know. Let me know. Anop says, is love real or just a social construct? Real question. I think love is real. I think it's real whether you want it to be real or not. And I think that once it's authenticated in your mind, now you may not know if somebody else's love is real towards you, but you'll never make the mistake of knowing whether your love is real towards somebody else. And I'll tell you something else, man. When you break up with somebody, or when y'all separated, y'all go y'all separate ways or whatever, when things aren't the way that they used to be anymore, you think about whether you gave your all or not. Now, somebody else may never know how much you had left in the tank, but you know if you withdrew all of your love from your heart and gave it to them, invested it in them, or if you kept most of your love to yourself and you gave out just enough to keep the boat afloat, just enough to keep the lights on, just enough to keep food on the table. You know what I'm talking about. But this is a personal thing. Only you know how much love you have to give to somebody and how much you have given out. That's a personal thing. But when all is said and done, and you think about whether you could have given a little bit more, or whether you emptied out the whole box, and you might base that on the results. We got to be careful about that, basing everything that we do or basing the way that we feel about every situation on the results. Because we have a tendency to do that. Some people, a lot of people do that. You know what I mean? Like, only one team wins the Super Bowl at the end of the year. So does that mean out of 32 teams, does that mean that 31 teams wasted their time because they didn't win the Super Bowl? I've heard people say this shit. Well, yeah, your season don't mean nothing if you don't win the Super Bowl. I'm like, then how come you got paid for every game you played up until your season was over? Imagine the owner of a team saying, well, look, man, we're going to give you this contract, but this is what we're going to do. We only going to pay you. We're going to put all of the money in escrow. So when you win the Super Bowl, when you help us win the Super Bowl, then you're going to get all the money. But other than that, we just going to give you enough to keep the food on the table. You know what I mean? Keep the lights on, keep you in a little car, you know what I mean? A little something. Matter of fact, we're not even going to give you no cash. You're just going to get a credit card for everything that you need. We're going to control everything until you give us the Super Bowl. Like, it's kind of ridiculous, right? But we do. We a lot of times we tend to base our decisions going forward on the results of what happened last time. I mean, it's not all the way out of the realm of understanding, because if you keep tripping over yourself, or you keep running into people who constantly, play with your heart, mess you around and dish you and front on you and just don't treat you right. Yeah, you have the right to make some decisions based on that. But what I'm talking about is sometimes we base the way that we think on whether things worked out with somebody else or not. Whether things went well with you and your last person should not dictate how things are going to go with this person coming up. Your ex should not be able to control your next. And you know that some of y'all have let y'all ex control your next. Ex, control your next. Ex, control your next. Ex, control your next. Ex, control your next. My ex control my next. Yes, my ex control my next. Even all the way down to sex. My ex control my next. Yeah, he was coming at my neck. She showed me no respect. My ex controlled my next. It was hard for me to get what my next. Just because what happened with my ex. My ex had total control. I feel like my ex had a hold on the things that I think and the things I do. All protect me from my next boo. Ooh, who they think we are? Hell, it's true. What we gonna do? My ex controlled my next. My ex controlled my next. My ex controlled my next. Why let him do that? Why let him do that? I said, why let your ex control your next? You gotta do the things, get your own perspective. Yo, don't let nobody stop your chain. Yo, make sure you rearrange. Yo, you gotta learn from the pain that you had before, but you got to go for a little more. And if you let your ex take you off the tour, yeah, you ain't got the ball, never scored. Yo, you gotta put the ball in the hole. Don't let your ex take total control. A lot of y'all let y'all ex total take control of your situation. Your frustration is going to kick in. I'm still sticking with the whole little plan. Listen, my man, everything is gonna be all right. I'm gonna make sure that I get rid of my ex tonight. And I ain't saying that you gotta hate your next, but you can't let your ex be controlling your next. Still taking calls from your ex. Yeah, your ex controls your next. Yeah, you still give your ex sex. Yeah, controlling your next. You ain't never gonna be having nothing with your next because of your ex. Your ex is still current. It's sort of like a deterrent for you to ever be moving on. You understand what I'm saying? Put it in a song. My name is Sun752. Y'all listening to? Yo, we gonna keep getting it right. Understand we do it on a Thursday night. Let's get real about relationships Thursday. Yeah, better than the last day. All right, let's go, y'all. When your love is transactional. By the way, for those of y'all, do me a favor, y'all. Please hit the like button. Hit the like button. Share the show. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. It helps the channel. Hit the like button, please. It helps the channel. It helps the channel grow, and I need to grow the channel. And the other thing is, you know, like when we talk about your love being transactional, don't be ashamed of yourself because your past experiences are making you wary of having new experiences. That's nothing to be ashamed of. But at some point, you're going to have to take greater control over your life. The heart is going to do what it wants to do, and it's going to feel the way it wants to feel. And it's going to drag you down alleyways and streets and across trolley and train tracks that you probably are uncomfortable with. But when we talk about our love being transactional, how are you going to tell your heart who you should be with? Your heart tells you who you should be with. You can't tell the heart who to be with. But we might do it. We might try it. You ever lost somebody? You ever lost somebody because you refuse to give them the love that they were asking for because you were afraid? Maybe you were afraid of them legitimately. Maybe you know their history with other women or other men or whatever, You know what I'm saying? And you just didn't want to get caught up. But at the same time, you may have been reading it wrong because you were so traumatized from what happened to you before that you wasn't reading this right. So you were spending too much time looking for evidence of deception like your ex did. So whenever something looked like what you saw before, you move back more and more. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. What up, Wisdom? What up, Wisdom? Damn, man, y'all talking. I feel like I ain't even been here. All right, let me see. Let me see. What's that, Rainier? Oh, is it Rainier? Said, ew, what the fuck? I don't know. I don't know what ew is. I ain't nobody ever looked at me and talked about no ew. I mean, I might be a lot of things, but ugly ain't one of them. Kishana says, no, your heart hasn't even been in place because they've been playing too much, or your spirit. Okay. Carmi says that doesn't happen. No guarantees. Ace World says soul ties. Carmi says humans are flawed. God gives unconditional love. Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with having conditions. But the thing is, your heart might not respect any conditions. It's gonna feel the way it want to feel. You see, your heart will make you pick up that phone and call somebody that you've been trying to avoid, or that you've been, trying to act like you're not thinking about or having feelings for. Your heart be like, pick up that motherfucking phone and call them right now because I want to talk to them. Now you can act like you was just calling because they left a they left a button off of their jacket over the house, and you just wanted to make sure. Listen, I just wanted to make sure that you got the button. You know what I mean? This button might keep you from being able to zip up your coat or button your coat closed. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you. Yeah. I mean, if you get sick and die, that's on you. But you ain't gotta get sick and die. Whatever. Your heart would make you pick up the phone and make a deal, or look for a way to wave the white flag. Wisdom says love comes with price. Conditional is sacrifice yourself for loved ones. Parents, equals parents sacrifice their sleep, money, personal dreams for their child's. In return, they expect love, respect, old age support. Okay. Carrie Zilla says, "Oh my God, I was going to say cook. Oh, you will say cook? Oh, that's how you show your love." Well, they say for a lot of men, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. It ain't that. I mean, I don't subscribe to that. I don't care how good you cook. Either I like you or I don't. But I ain't trying to blow up to 400 pounds messing around with you. You know what I'm saying? So you really love me, keep me healthy. Carmise Brand says, my love is not transactional. I give it as I choose. Love can look like, wait a minute. Love can look like from the smallest to the grand action, a meal to a homeless man, showing up to support a friend, a kind word to someone. That's good stuff. Kishana says, first of all, you got to know what they need from you. And then you got to figure out if it's okay. I ain't got no problem with that. I like that. I'm reading y'all. I know y'all farther down in the comments. I'm reading what I missed. I just want to read what I missed. Hold on. Kishana says the boundary show people how to love you in a safe way. I like that. Wisdom says simply no sacrifice, no love. Okay. Carmi says I will never give my all again to love someone. It's okay to be a little selfish. Now think about what you said, Carmi. I will never give my all again. Now, the only reason that you would say that is if you gave your all before and it just didn't work out right. sad state of affairs. But we all got to learn. We all got to grow. But just know, don't let your ex control your next. Don't let your ex control your next. You can give your all to somebody else. Maybe you can just make sure that they fit a different criteria than you required before. Maybe you have to make sure that they fulfill a different requirement, maybe more stringent requirements than you made the one who you gave your all to the last time. But don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. But I feel you on that. Carriezilla says, "Oh, I hate how right you are. I'm divorced, not even a year. I could have been better." Don't feel bad. Listen, you live and you learn. But if you're going to live and you're going to learn, at least you took time out to learn and to be honest with yourself. You could have gave a little bit more. Now, the question you got to ask yourself is, if you would have gave more, would it have made a difference? Now, that's something you may never know. That's something you may never know. Sometimes people go back just to find out if, like, all right. Listen, I know I'm the last person you ever wanted to hear from or whatever, but I just want to talk to you for a minute, but I don't want to talk to you over the phone. So I would appreciate it if you could meet me, blah, 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 on Tuesday. Can you make it there on Tuesday? No, this ain't really about nothing. I just need to get something off my chest. Okay, you'll meet me. All right, so Tuesday, let's say around 4:00 after I get off work. All right, I'll see you there. On Tuesday, you meet him there, and you some people might go ahead and spill it out. Like, listen, I know things didn't work out with us before, but I just want you to know that I always really felt this way about you, and I think that you're a great person, and I wish you all the best, even if it's not with me, but I would like it to be with me. You know what I mean? Maybe we may not be able to get back together, whatever, but I want you to know that me and you had a really good thing, but I think it could have been a little bit better. And if we, maybe reset the clock, maybe if we take the hourglass and we turn it on the other side, maybe we can make something happen that we were too immature to make happen before. Sometimes we chase something that we had before because we know we didn't give what we had to give. We didn't empty out the toy box. So we like, look, listen, I got some more that we could play with. We could still have fun. You'll never know if things would have worked out better if you would have gave your all. Because were they actually asking for what you were keeping behind? Or did you just know, like, let me ask y'all this. And I'm going to read the rest of the comments. Let me ask y'all this. Because in my life, I've had women say this. I've had women say things like, well, sometimes I don't want to give my all to you, because you have a very curious mind, and I don't ever want to bore you. I don't want you to get tired of me, because you ask a lot of questions, you talk a lot, you read a lot, you study a lot, and I don't ever want to be boring to you. So sometimes I hold back and blah blah. And I'm like, you ain't gotta do that. What are you talking about? We can learn and grow together. It ain't about, like I got a heart too. And my heart don't say, all right, well, if she don't do this, if she don't read this, if she don't study this, if she don't learn this, if she don't agree with this, if she don't follow this, if she don't do this, that, and the third, then I ain't got time for it. My heart don't work that way. My heart tell me what to do too. But I'm only using that as an example because I understand how it is when a person may have more to give, but they might want to keep a little in the stash. Just, They may be willing to give it to you, just not now. Just not now. I mean, women do it all the time. Like, well, you know, I'll do this for my boyfriend, but I'll only do this for my husband. I've heard that a lot. I disagree with it because I think that being somebody's girlfriend or boyfriend is an audition for marriage. How you gonna get the lead part in a play that you didn't when you bombed the audition? That's not likely to happen. That's not likely to happen. But I get it though. I get it. And just because I disagree with something or I don't see things in a certain type of way, it doesn't mean that I'm 100% right. It don't mean that. Kim's Wims is in the house. Kimmy, what's good? What's good? How you feeling, ma? I know you done held back. I know. I know you done held back. You said it on the show. You said it. You might call in and say it again. As a matter of fact, I might call you. You know what I mean? I might get aggressive tonight. I might get. All right, let me go. All right. Wisdom says, in short, while parental love is often framed as unconditional, in practice, there's an underlying expectation of reciprocation, making it a subtle form of emotional capitalism. Interesting. I like the way you wrote that. That's what's up. See, some people went to English class, learn how to write complete sentences and shit. That's what's up. Wow. What's that strange sound? Hey, yo, what's that fuzz? Everybody get to the back of the bus.
You have a call from.
Yeah. Caller with the last number is 5639. Hold on for just a second. I got to read these comments and then I'll be right with you. I feel like I just summoned God. Oh, hold on. All right. Okay. Kishana says, I'll call my husband a trick bitch because he wanted to treat his everybody like they he wanted to treat everybody like they transactional, but love is not like that. Okay. All right. And wisdom says love is all about sacrifice, which is conditional and transactional. All right. Carmise Branch says, thank God for discernment. Okay. Wisdom says, I think you meant to say Jesus. Jesus was loved for his sacrifice, death for us, but not for his magic. Kishana says, some people problems ain't yours. Carriezilla says, that is true, but my ex definitely defines my expectations of next. Okay. I mean, I get it. Get it. Hold on. I went up too far. Damn, I got a lot. Okay, wait. All right. I'm getting close. Carmi says, ain't no next. My next is camping, travel, knitting, fishing. Oh, so you done threw in the towel. Ain't gonna be no relationship for you no more, huh? We'll see. Because sometimes your heart be like, shit, you about to get with this nigga right here. Watch. Carmi says, single is not a bad state to be in. No, it's not. But neither is companionship, neither is partnership, neither is love, neither is marriage, neither is friendship, neither is, togetherness, unity. Yeah, that compromise. All that stuff is good. But I ain't mad at you. Not at all. You do what you got to do to protect your heart and protect yourself at all times. Protect yourself until your heart lets your guard down and then get knocked out. Kishana says, 0 decisions have I made because of the last person, because of all my blessings. Okay, that's good. That's good to know. That's hot. All right, Carrie Zilla says that is true, but my ex definitely. Wait a minute. What the fuck did I just do? All right, my bad. I scrolled up and caught the same one. Ace World says single life is so peaceful. It can be. The thing is, the real prize is being with somebody else that also makes your life peaceful. I mean, we talk about love like it's some big struggle. we talk about relationships like it's always a bunch of games. It's always a bunch of hurt. It's always a bunch of pain. It's always a bunch of struggle. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be. It is sometimes, but that should let you know what state you're in when it goes that way. And that's not, that's not dissing nobody or nothing like that. But yeah, and single life is peaceful to a certain extent. To a certain extent. Because human beings weren't meant to really be solitude or solo solitude. We weren't meant to live our lives in a vacuum. I mean, sure, you can do whatever you want, but eventually, when your trust is validated, we sometimes concentrate so much about we concentrate so much on when our trust has been violated that we forget that the time will come when our trust gets validated, when it gets stamped. It gets stamped like that shit they put under the blue light so you could get back into the club. That part, that VIP stamp. All right. Kishana says, good night. Good night, my boys. My boys asleep. Thanks for coming through. I appreciate you. All right. Carmi says, some people be in relationships because they don't want to be alone and looking for love with someone and still alone is the worst. Yeah, we talked about that earlier this week. We talked about, or was it last week? I don't know. It was recently. You can definitely be with somebody and still be alone, but that lets you know the state of affairs that you are in real time. You should never be alone when you're with somebody. But that's why we have to vet people and make sure that we know who should be in our lives and who should, you know what I mean? We should know who to whose hands to put tickets into and who to let stand in that line. Stand in that line. You know what I mean? Black Friday ain't coming tomorrow. All right. Okay. Carmi says, my heart be on hugs, coffee dates, cuddle sessions, and detach. You got your life, I got mine. Okay. All right. Well, the more time you spend with somebody, if you like them, feelings going to start to develop, and they should. If they don't, that kind of lets you know, what it's hitting for with that person. Carmi says, there's nothing wrong. I'm going to tell you something, though. I wouldn't cuddle with nobody I didn't like. I ain't going to be cuddling with you. You know what I'm saying? I got to at least like you to cuddle. You know what I mean? You know the things you find out about a person when they cuddle. I mean, you got their hygiene right there to you. Next to you, you got their body heat. You taking their temperature. You a whole thermometer on them. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You check their perspiration and all of that. Yeah, shit, cuddling ain't nothing to play with. Cuddling is real. Cuddling is personal. You don't just cuddle with anybody. Like, yo, man, you know what I mean? I know we only work together. I know we good. We co-workers and all of that. But listen, you wanna cuddle after work? You know what I'm saying? We just go to the crib, hug up, get under a throw blanket or something, just cuddle. You know what I'm saying? Netflix and cuddle. You don't be cuddling with nobody you don't like. Who does that? All right, hold on. Okay. Okay, Carmi says. Ace World says same here. Carmi says there's nothing wrong with conditions. Conditions are boundaries. Nothing. I agree with that. And she also says, so don't look to men for unconditional love. Ace World says love is just an emotion to many people dead or in jail because love emotions. Oh, people are dead or in jail because of love and emotions. Yeah, but there are also people in nice houses and good cars and in good families because of love and emotions too. I'm just saying. Carmi's brain says my love comes with conditions for sure. Okay, Kishana says you got played out. You got played out some money when you end up laying in a hotel room with 2 kids by him. Transactional don't happen because you agree with somebody that didn't come pay your rent. Well, you shouldn't get once you behind 1 month and with the rent. That should let you know something. Shirley Cheryl, the world's most precious and greatest pearl in the world. Shirley Cheryl, the world's most precious and greatest pearl in the world, was good. And Carmi says parents expect that, but they don't always get that in return. Ace World says conditions set up healthy perspective boundaries. All right. Carmi says, I don't think that love should require your all. It shouldn't. It don't have to require it, but eventually you should want to give it. It shouldn't require anything. You should want to give it. You should be in a situation where you think you want to get to a safe space. And it's not always easy to find a safe space. Cheryl Halsey, what's good? What's up, man? Thanks for coming through. Appreciate you. Mucho. All right. Okay. I think I'm near the end. Satan, or is it Satan, or Satan? Says it's Blues Clues ringtone. My mind. All right. Carmi says all of those states have the pros and cons, which single, married, or with companionship, they all have pros and cons. Right. That's life. Everything in life has pros and cons. All right. Kim's Worm says, is that my friend's name? I just heard over there. Carmi says you can get those needs met through friends and family. Single don't mean that you just by yourself all the time. Well, there are some people who are by themselves all the time just because they single. So everybody single ain't the same, but I get it. Carmi says hookup culture is prevalent in this society. Yeah, because of social media. Okay, people hook up and share their bodies without knowing someone or liking someone. I don't do that. And I don't subscribe to that. I mean, call me crazy, but I don't want to fuck you if I don't like you. Because trust and believe, I don't care how good the pussy is. If I don't like you, I'm not going to keep fucking. I'm just funny that way. So if we can't have good conversations, if we can't have good interactions, if I can't look forward to seeing you, if you're not on my mind at times when you're not around, you know what I mean? Like, I can find good sex. It ain't that hard to find. But good love, that shit is 24 karat. All right. Satan says, I'm gonna ask the other construction guys tomorrow if they ain't busy, if they want to come over for cuddling. Yo, you wildin'. Carby says, so you tell me which one sounds better in society where hookup culture is prevalent. Looking up to cuddle with a stranger or hooking up to share your body with a person. I mean, I was young once. I'm 54 years old. I've done one night stand. I've done all that. But still, even back in the day, if I ain't like you, we wasn't going to be together. But I don't need to just. That ain't a good look. You fuck around cuddling with strangers. Strangers will leave you bleeding out. You know what I'm saying? And the body never recovered. That type shit. I'm good. You said there are websites for cuddling too. No, I'm good. Oh, you said cuddling boo? No, I'm good. Finish reading, son. I don't do hookup culture either. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm just saying. I'm not saying that you do it, but I just don't subscribe to it, period. I don't care who does it. Satan says, and what are those websites? I'm just wondering. For a friend. Says I'm the same way. When I want someone, I need the connection, but I don't need the connection to cuddle. Okay. Well, I need the connection to cuddle. I don't need the connection necessarily to have sex, but I needed to cuddle. You know what I mean? Like cuddling, you might do that after sex. You know what I mean? If after sex you just feel like, you know, washing your private parts and putting your drawers back on, putting your clothes back on, be like, yo, man, that was nice. Yo, that was cool. I holler at you. Yo, call me. You know what I mean? If I don't pick up, send me a text. Caller with the last number is 5639. Thank you for holding. What's good? How you feeling tonight?
I'd like to know why I was attacked as soon as I entered into the group. The chat was immediately attacked, and I didn't even know what was going on.
Well, we are talking about when love is transactional. That's what we're talking about tonight. We've strayed the beaten path a little bit, but we're talking about when love is transactional. So in my mind, when love is transactional, this is when you will only give your heart when there is some type of exchange going on. Now, when you think about how your heart works and whether you can even pull off, making an exchange in order to give your love, in order to give your feelings, in order to give your emotions to somebody, it might be a little difficult to even understand or fathom. But some people make a valiant attempt at it. And for all we know, it might work out for them.
So that's why you attacked me. You made me the target.
Huh?
Is that why you made me the target? I don't understand.
Well, I'm saying, your heart, your feelings, and your emotions, you can set them up to be transactional, but it may not be as easy as you think it's going to be. You know what I mean? Because your heart wants what it wants and it feels the way it feels. Now, even if you try to regulate it, control it, or whatever, and mentally, there may be plenty of us who really believe that we can control the way that we feel about somebody. Now, what we may actually be doing is controlling what we do about our feelings, because we may have some control over that. But to actually be able to control the way that you feel about somebody, like, okay, yeah, I really love this person, but watch me unlove them.
I don't think that's
I don't think it's possible.
When you get into our age group, love is not easy. Of course, it never has been, but we were just kind of blind and stupid because we were young. So we just thought love was an easy thing, and it's not. It comes with a lot of everything to it, and it's not. I think we're at an age now where we understand that it requires so much more than just "I love you." Like, it requires you showing it.
Mm-hmm.
It requires you proving it in a sense. It requires so much more than it's definitely not sex at all. It's slower than some people like to think. Like, putting a timeline on when someone loves somebody, when they should say they love someone, and all that kind of foolish stuff is, we're too old for that. That's my opinion. And it's not realistic. I know people who have married people they didn't love and didn't love them just to be married. I have a friend now who he's with his wife, and he just recently said, "I'm not in love with her, but we work good together as a couple." I'm like, listen, what? Like, then the second half of this thing with somebody you're not in love with just because you guys work together like a partnership. What is? He's like, well, marriage isn't about love, and if you make it about love, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to work. And I'm like, that's an asinine thought, in my opinion. But
wait a minute. Are you saying that when people get married for love, are you saying that people shouldn't get married for love?
No, I think people should get married for love.
Oh, okay, but you're talking about what people.
Be a big proponent of it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, people, lately in the past 10 years or whatever, I've been hearing a lot of people talking about marriage is a business, and I've challenged that on many fronts. Like, what do you mean? Like, to me, when people say that marriage is a business, when they talk like that, I think that they're normally saying those things because they've been disappointed in love before. You know what I'm saying? And so they may not really think that love is real, or it hasn't been proven to them, or correctly explained to them how it's supposed to work. So people that I know who have said that marriage is a business, they want to be married and they want that partnership and companionship, but they don't really believe that they will ever find true love. So they pretty much put that out of the equation. Like, I'll take all of these other things, because think about it. If you say that marriage is a business, business is all about what? Money. So, in other words, you're not going to marry somebody where money is not a factor. It has to be the driving force. You can't use the word business and not talk about money. You can definitely use the word love and not talk about money, but you can't use the word business and not talk about money. So in exchange for not being able to find the kind of love that you would love to find, that you would like to find, you may say, okay, well, at least I'm going to have a house. At least I'm going to have a car. At least I'm going to have spending money. At least I'm going to be able to go shopping. At least my children will be provided for, and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, my heart may not ever get the fulfillment that I would like for it to have, but nobody really gets that. And you can make yourself believe that nobody is getting something that you really want for yourself. Plenty of people do it all the time. I hear it in the media all the time, especially when you listen to people like Donald Trump. Nobody cares about that. What are you talking about? Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about what? Why are we talking about this on this show, or in this interview, or in this press conference, if nobody cares about it? I think somebody cares about it, son. But I get it. You trying to throw the dogs off the scent. I get it. But I didn't mean to cut you off, Kim. Go ahead. Do your thing.
I think sometimes people don't want to put in the work. Love is hard. It's not easy. It's easy to love somebody, yes. But to put in the work to make it lasting, it requires a lot of everything. And I think people don't want to put that in. They don't want to do it. And I get it, I guess. And so let me first, this is coming from someone who's never been in love. Let me say that first. I've loved, but I've never been in love. And I had someone recently tell me, well, maybe you just didn't understand, and you've been in love, you just didn't know it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I would know if I was in love or not. So, thank you for living inside my body. And that's come because I was in a relationship with my last guy for 5 years, and I wasn't in love with him. However, I loved him deeply. But some of that is because we were friends first. We've been friends for 20 years and more before we got into a relationship. So, of course, I loved him deeply. We were always friends. Even now, I still love him. And I hate that the relationship had to come to an end, but it had to, because it wasn't going to get any better. And I don't have that kind of patience. And I was irritated a lot, and that's not good for us. So in order for us to remain at least friends, we had to break up as a couple, or it was not going to be anything. And unfortunately, not anything now.
Well, let me ask you this.
Sure.
Because that's the interesting dynamic. So if you've known a person a long time before you ever gotten a relationship with them, do you think that maybe it's harder for your love, for your feelings to grow for somebody? Like, let me ask you this. Do you think that you have to have had like really strong attractions for them from afar, even if you knew them before, in order for you to fall in love with them? Because I think it's interesting that you say that. From what you're saying, it sounds to me like you're saying that although you had strong feelings for him or whatever, they didn't grow. Those feelings didn't increase. They didn't multiply. You never got to the in love part. And I'm wondering if knowing the person before or a long time before y'all ever get into a relationship, can that stop you from falling in love?
I don't know. I can't speak for anyone, so I can only speak for myself. I'm a repeat offender first and foremost, and I like being comfortable in the relationship. So I say that because any real relationship I've had has always been somebody who's been a friend for a long time. And unfortunately, even after we break up for whatever reason, we end up back together years later. And I don't even think it's that we plan to be together. It happens. Even this last relationship, and this is probably going to sound terrible, and he just is so disgusted with me when I say this. I don't think I even planned to be in a relationship with him. I think it's because we were friends and we had been friends so long. We were comfortable with each other, and it was really just we start hanging out. We're adults now, so we're hanging out more. We're going out to eat. We're having sex, and we're just comfortable with each other and living. We start living together and doing things like a couple. And then one day he's like, we're in this thing together. We're spending our money together, and we just became a couple and became exclusive. But I don't think I ever was committed like that. Not that I want to cheat with anybody else or be with anybody else or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think I really completely committed to the relationship. I think I was just comfortable because this is someone, I knew his family, he knew my family. We knew each other. We didn't have to pretend with each other. We don't have to go through the get to know you stage because we already knew each other. So it was comfortable and it was easy. But I don't think I ever committed to it because I don't think I ever wanted it. You know what I'm saying? I just think it was one of those, we've been doing all this, like we're in a relationship stuff, so now we're in a relationship. And then one day I realized, like, I'm not in this to win it. Like, I love him, but I'm not in love with him. So
this is mind blowing.
Huh?
I said this is mind blowing to me because I'm listening to you and I realize I've never been in a situation like that, like where I've known somebody for a long time and then we finally got together. I'm wondering, like, would I be able to handle that? Like,
I'm going to tell you it's tough. So one of my exes, we had been friends a long time too, and we got in a relationship and it went bad. And I was devastated. I was devastated when we broke up because we said things to each other. We, as friends for a long time, we would never say such horrific things to each other. We would never harm each other, but it just became it was bad at the end.
Yeah.
And it took years before we could even talk again. And when we did, it was such a difficult conversation. And like, here I am crying with him and he's crying with me. And it was too much. It was too much. It was so hard to go from being friends and getting in a relationship and then excelling. And it was a lot of things there were a lot of moving parts to it that were out of our control, unfortunately, because life, and God makes decisions that none of us can control.
Mm-hmm.
And those added moving parts made it even worse. So it was hard. Like, it's good to be friends with somebody, in my opinion. I think it's good to be friends with the person you're going to be with because it makes it better. You know each other. You know what your wants and needs are. Y'all move together, and it makes it great. But at the same time, if you're true friends and then it falls apart, it can be devastating, and it was.
Mm-hmm.
And even though before he died, we were, we fixed everything, we were cool again, it still wasn't the same. It wasn't the same like it was before we got in that relationship and it fell apart. And it made it hard at the end. And even now that he's gone, I still am devastated. I still deal with the loss. And why do we fail at this? How come we weren't mature enough to make things work, even at a time when we should have been working together and we weren't? So, and it's because putting in the effort for love, we were too immature, too young to understand the hard work that comes with tragedies that are associated with being in a relationship.
Okay.
And our parents didn't teach us this, because how do you teach? It's just part of life that you don't think that, because I teach my son, you don't think to teach your children, hey, when you get in a relationship, this could happen. And it could be devastating, like a husband and wife who lose a child. A lot of times those relationships don't last, unfortunately, because it's so devastating to them. But nobody teaches that. Nobody taught them, like, this might happen, because that's the least thing you would think would ever happen. But in reality, it does. So it's a lot of hard work to love and to be in love. And the older you get, the harder it becomes, because now it's not the same as 20-year-old. Oh, I love you too. Let's go. We go together now. When you are 35 and up and you're doing love, now you're not just thinking about I love you and you love me. Are you going to tolerate my nuances, and am I going to tolerate yours? If we're in this for a long haul, we have a lot of things that are concerning about us being connected as a unit. Do we get along with each other's family and friends? Do our finances match the way we need them to match for us to survive? It's all of those things. What if something happens to you? Am I willing to stick it out to be with you? And vice versa. Or do I even want you to stop your life to help me because something physically has happened? All those things come into play as you get older. We don't think about that when we're in our 20s. When you 35 and up, 40 and up, and especially our age, 50 plus, now you're thinking about it like, man, I love you, but boy, if something happens, I don't know if I'm be able to stick with you. Or I don't know if I want you to stop what you're doing to stay with me. So all those things come into play too. And it makes it different. And I understand that's probably why some people say, well, love is a business, or being married is a business. I don't agree with that. I think that's the dumbest, laziest thing to say. But I believe that is what some people, they bank on that as well. And that's silly, because I agree like you can't associate business without talking about money. And love is not about money. Does it come with a price? Yes. Love comes with a price, but it's not a financial price. Love comes with a price because it can break your heart, because anything could happen. I'm not talking about cheating and nothing like that. I'm talking about death. Because I watched my grandmother mourn the death of my grandfather my entire life until she left. And that impacted me, because seeing that sadness, I was like, I don't ever want to deal with that. Like, it hurt me that he's gone, but I saw how much it hurt her. And I was like, I don't want to deal with that. I watched a cousin get up until the day of her marriage, the day she was supposed to get married, and her fiance was killed in a car accident on the way to the church. And she has never recovered from that. And so when that happened, I was like, I don't want to deal with that. And that is the part of it. Those are the parts of love that aren't discussed. That's what makes it hard. That's what makes it difficult the older we get, because now you have to face those realities.
Well, I'm thinking about it like this. Even in those situations, if we're talking about love being transactional, if you lose a partner, like through sickness or accident or something like that, you may require somebody to live a more healthier lifestyle, or let's say like something. Let's say a woman falls in love with a man who rides motorcycles, and he gets in a motorcycle accident and loses his life, right? Her transactional part of her life or her love might be that, no, I'm never going to mess around with nobody who lives that kind of lifestyle. Anybody who drives above 60 or 70 miles per hour. I don't want to be with them or whatever because, I don't want to deal with the devastation of somebody recklessly losing their lives or whatever. And they may not have lost their life because they were hot dogging or driving too fast or riding too fast or whatever. I mean, motorcycle accidents, they ain't normally sweet like that. You understand what I'm saying? But I can understand the fear that you may have of losing somebody while that you love. I mean, losing your groom while he was on his way to the church. Like, how is there anything more tragic than that? The only thing I can think about that's more tragic than that is when I saw this documentary of this woman who got killed by her ex at her wedding.
Oh.
Yeah, at her wedding. See, this is the kind of shit you see when you watch the ID channel all day. And I do. So yeah, killed her at her wedding. Shot her up. Crazy shit. So I get it. I get it. And I think that's an unrealistic transaction or requirement, but I could understand somebody asking for it or trying to make that happen. It's a natural reaction to try to move away from pain, to try to avoid trouble or a stressful situation, painful situation, because it all adds up to pain. Stress is pain. Struggle is pain. Hurt is pain. Missing somebody is painful. So yeah, we might do everything in order to try to make the road ahead as easy and seamless as possible, but it's just not always the case that we can get that done. So but I
we can't control that either. That's the other side of it. We can't control how we feel. That's the other part of it. Mm-hmm. We can't control love. You can't control it. Like, that's how we end up in relationships, because you can't control it. Because sometimes it could be someone you think, like, I would never thought I would have dated my friend, but it just came to be. So you can't control that. I never thought I would love him like that.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you about this. Because you said a lot of things that really raised my eyebrows when you were talking, because the whole situation was an interesting situation, and I'm trying to figure out like how like if I was placed in that situation, how would I possibly be able to navigate it? And I'm not sure if I would be able to. But how old were you when you and your ex got together? Because you said something like it's different when you in your 20s, but when you were a little bit older and y'all get together, things change and it's a little bit different. So when y'all decided to be a couple or whatever, how old were y'all?
I'm 40.
In your 40s. Oh yeah, the stakes were a lot higher. But I still think it's interesting that you said that you weren't in love with him. What are your requirements? Like, if you say that you've never been in love before, what do you think being in love is? And I'm not saying whether you have been or not. I'm just wondering, from your point of view, what is being in love?
I think being in love is a little more tolerant of things. And I'm not talking about stupid stuff that nobody should allow, but I mean just little things. I think there's a level of tolerance to it. I think I think you know it and you feel it. It makes you are always excited. You feel something that extra skip when you see that person. There's a moment of breathlessness when you are with that person. You can see yourself with that person forever. Mm-hmm. You can see yourself walking down the aisle with that person. I never saw that. I never felt like that. I didn't think of us together forever. and that's the kind of conversations you want to have with that person. You're hoping they want to have that with you. You're thinking in long terms beyond 5 years, but 10 years and 20 years. That's what I think in love is.
Okay.
I mean, if someone asks, and here's where I come from that. I remember one of the cousins asked me one time, "Hey, when y'all gonna get married?" And I was like, like, yeah, you don't think you'll ever get married? I'm like, I don't know if I want to. Like, do you not ever want to be married? You don't want to be married to him. I was like, I don't know if I want to be married to him. And in that moment, my cousin was like, "Girl, you don't break up with him because you are wasting his time."
See,
And I feel some kind of way about that.
and I understand why you felt some kind of way about it. Because I mean, people will always try to put a value on your situation. You know, I mean, maybe all situations don't add up to marriage. Marriage might be for some, it might work for some people, and it might not work for everybody. You know what I mean? I mean, I understand what people mean when they say something like, "Well, if you've been together all of this time or whatever, you should get married." But I think that you should only get married when you feel it in your heart that you're going to be able to be in a marriage situation and honor it. Because
Right.
if you're unsure and neither one of and neither one of y'all are pushing each other to it, then what's the big deal?
Listen, I know a couple. They were together when we were in high school. I was a freshman; they were seniors, and up until he was killed, maybe 10 years ago. It's been 10 years. I think 10 years now. They had been together from high school until he was killed 10 years ago, and um, they had 3 children who were adults. They had a house together. They did everything together, and we never heard anything about any kind of infidelity going on or anything like that. They were true blue, and if you didn't know them, you would have thought they were married, but they never got married. He asked her twice. She turned him down. Then she asked him to ask again. He said no because she turned me down the first 2 times. And then eventually he asked again, and she was like, "No, no." And they never, but it didn't cause tension between them or any kind of negativity. They just never got married. But you wouldn't have known if you didn't know them.
Yeah.
Because they looked happily married. But that wasn't just outside of the house, behind closed doors. They were happily married. They just never got married. So
I think
when it was talked about, it was only because of the requirements in law and that kind of stuff. If something happens,
I get that part. I do.
Yeah,
I get that part. But I just respect people's union the way they want it to be. You know what I'm saying? You know, other people, some people have a problem or have problems respecting somebody else's union. You know, trying to tell them, well, if this doesn't happen by this time or this date and this time frame or whatever, then it's not this, that, and the third. I'm like, well, how can you audit my situation? This is a situation of two hearts. So I mean, we good with it. What everybody? People have been living unconventionally for is probably as long as time will allow. No, I don't know how far back we can count, but all right, that's one thing. But yeah, you know, the reason I ask you what you feel like being in love feels like is because I think that there are different ways to be in love, and I think there are different brands of being in love. You know what I'm saying? Personally, I would rather be I would rather love than to be in love, because for me, when I think about being in love, I'm thinking about being in a situation where I'm not really all that comfortable. I'm probably in a situation where I don't know somebody as well enough to really make a valuable assessment of who they are and what we have. You know what I mean? And I'm probably in a situation where my feelings are so strong at that time that I'm not making good decisions. So to me, the in love part is a little bit artificial, it's a little bit deceptive, and it's a little temporary. But the
Do you
love
think it
part,
makes you vulnerable?
I think it can make you vulnerable, but that's what I was talking about when I said that it can make you make uninformed decisions. You know what I'm saying? Like you just go for it because you don't really know the person, and you're trying to do everything in order to get them on your side, keep them on your side, and make the road smoother. Even though it's hard to make a road smooth when you're in love, because so many people require somebody to feel exactly the way that they feel in order for them to feel like they're in love. And how do you really know how somebody else feels? How do you match somebody else's feelings with yours? And I think it's okay for you to just get as much as you need. Some people might be able to eat a whole smorgasbord of food, and some people might be good with just a little salad, and a little water. So I mean, as long as each person is getting what they need, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? But we get all of these pressures and these influences that tell us that we have to love in a certain type of way or it doesn't qualify. And we get caught up in that sometimes. Maybe not you, maybe not me, but a lot of people do. So, like I said, I would rather love than to be in love because the love will last forever. You know what I mean? If I
I think
love
it
you,
does. I agree.
yeah. I mean, if I love you, if I have strong feelings for you, then I'm going to be amenable or agreeable to a lot of things that you, at least your ideas. You know what I'm saying? If I'm in love with you, it'll be the same way. But once I figure you out while I'm in love, then I might start making assessments or decisions about whether being in love with you is what I really am now that I have this information, or if it's a good way to be. So there are a lot of different ways to look at it, look at the whole in love with a person, because it's not always about your heart beating fast and goose pimples and what I mean, goose bumps or whatever, and having knots in your stomach. It's not always about that. Sometimes it's just about, yeah, you know what? I just really enjoy being with this person all the time, and and I look forward to it. We good. That's in love enough for me. You know what I mean? That's good enough for me. Um,
So where do you stand on that too? Because I know, where do you stand on that longevity when it comes to loving someone? So I asked that because I remember there was a guy who was trying to talk to me here a while back, and his question was getting to know, I guess, was, how do you feel about your exes? What happened, and do you still love them? And I was like, I love them.
mhm.
He's like, damn. I said, yes. I said, there's a place in my heart for specific exes. They still hold a place in my heart. And he just had a problem with that. So I'm like, so why would you, that means you lied when you told that person you loved them. Because how do you stop loving somebody you love? How do you fall out of it? And he's like, well, how could you be in a relationship with someone else? I said, well, I said it's them. That means I love more than one person. So I still love them, and then I eventually love the next person. I'm like, how do you be involved with someone and say you love them, and you just stop loving them because I break up? Because that means you lied, you didn't love them at all. That's stupid to me. It doesn't make sense. I think when you have a connection with someone, regardless of what happens, if you guys are true to each other, you're always going to have a connection.
Yeah.
But that's just how life goes. My ex, I don't want to be in a relationship with him, but I still love him.
Mhm.
Like, I don't want anything bad to happen to him, and if it does, it's going to hurt me very bad. Because we were friends, and he became my lover, and more. So, how do you feel about that? Because this guy, that bothered him so bad, it was just the worst thing. And I'm like, then I'm not the person for you. Like, this is it. I'm not the person for you, because I still love my exes, some of them anyway.
Yeah, well, I think that's an honest way to feel, and I understand why dude felt some kind of way about it because he's insecure, and it's okay to be insecure because his understanding about things are different than your understanding about things. It happens, but it's times like that when the communication has to be open and honest. You know what I'm saying? Because he doesn't understand how or why you would admit that you still love somebody that you're not with anymore, unless you either still messing around with them or want to be back with them. He doesn't understand that because he's really kind of telling you, and I'm guessing here because I don't know the brother, but I'm guessing that he would not tell you if he still loved one of his exes, and probably because he doesn't think that that would give him a good chance for you. Some people feel like their slate has to be totally clean, like they got to be super single in order to start something with somebody else. I get it. I just don't subscribe to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
And I don't think people I don't think people will understand what it means to be super single. They have all these false understandings in their head. Well, I'm not gonna say false, but whatever their belief is, how they were raised, how they were taught, or what they grew to understand what that means. And I just think that's a conversation as adults we've never had. Like that's a taboo conversation that never happens. We talk about sex, we talk about everything else. We really don't discuss what it means to be single. We don't talk about what it means to cheat. None of those kind of things. So yeah, I get it. I get it 100%. But see, some of that just comes from because he didn't take the time to get to know me. I think had he taken the time to get to really know me, then he would understand where I come from. You know,
yeah, he has to learn your way, and he probably was struggling to learn your way. But learning somebody else's ways is also learning how to grow. It's learning, So I mean, I don't like to blame everything on social media, but when it comes to the way that people are thinking, I mean, a lot of people are caught up in the social media engineering type of thinking. You know what I'm saying? Should I say the social media engineered way of thinking? I mean, even though we say that this shit ain't real and this that and the third and all of that, but we find ourselves repeating things that we see and hear on that shit and whatever, and that brings it to life. It's real. It's realer than it was before. It's more authentic than it was before. So yeah, we got to be careful about that. But um, it's funny because I'm thinking about the dude that you were just talking about, and if we're talking about love being transactional, that was probably a transaction for him. Like he needs you to not be as forthcoming. You know what I mean? Like now it would probably be harder for him to give his heart to you or to let go for you because he thinks that, you still have feelings for somebody else. And I think it's fucked up how some people carry that out. I've known people, like just like you said, if something ever happened to your ex, it would devastate you. That's normal. You know what I mean? If my cat dies, you know what I mean? I'm gonna be devastated. So you mean to tell me a whole person that I used to swap bodily fluids with, I shouldn't feel no kind of way with about them because you're in my life. Because you're in my life, I should pretend to not have feelings for anybody else that came before you. Because you're the best thing that ever happened to me now. So I have to act like nothing else compared to you. I get it. I just don't subscribe to it. You know what I'm saying? And as an adult, you should be able to understand that. You mean to tell me if your baby mom or your baby dad died, that you wouldn't feel nothing? That's insane.
It is insane. It's absolutely insane. There's no logic to it at all. And it's just because we are distorted as humans. when again, there's a hidden secret that's taboo that we just don't talk about. We talk about the weirdest shit, but we don't talk about things that really connect us as humans. We just don't.
Yeah.
We talk about threesomes and weird poly relationships and all that kind of stuff. And hey, if that's what people want to do, that's on their own. That's not my ministry. But we don't talk about that part of being human and adult and mature when it comes to relationships. Because how do you say I love you and I'm been with you over a lengthy amount of time and I love you, and because we broke up now, fuck you, you're nothing to me, and if you died I spit on you. Like, my ex and I, we didn't break up because of abuse, we didn't break up because of cheating, we broke up because it just was time. And I was set up before he was, and I was dealing with family shit, and I just wasn't in a good headspace.
Mm-hmm.
And it was best for him to get away. He cried for a year to get us back together. And I just wasn't in a good place to do it. I just wasn't.
Do you think was he in love with you?
I don't know. You know, some things did happen while we were together that shocked me because, again, this was my friend. So for years, there are things he had never said to me. Like, I didn't even know he liked me when we first became friends. Like, he had a crush on me then that I didn't know because, my radar is off when it comes to stuff like that. I don't know how to flirt, and I can never tell when somebody's flirting with me. That's not a secret. So he had a crush back then that I didn't know, and he just held on to it. Now, his version is, I was scared of you. It was like you think he was going to beat me up because you was kind of rough. So he never said anything, and which is good because the timing would have been off definitely back then. But when I knew the feelings were there, especially from him, everything about him became different. And there were moments when I kind of played it off like, dude, why are you acting weird? And I see him get a little shy, acting like, okay, I don't want to tell her I like her. But then one day he just couldn't help it. And in that moment, I'm like, wait a minute, what? Okay. And even in our relationship, it was different. He did a lot of things. He's always been good to me as my friend. Like, anything I could ask him to do, he would do it, and he goes beyond to do it. But in the relationship, it was completely different, and it was more than what came with a relationship. But I don't know if he was in love with me because maybe there's a part of me that feels like if you was in love with me like that, you would have fought harder, understanding what I was going through, being that you were a witness to it, and you knew it had to do with a lot of family drama. You would have fought harder. I don't know. Maybe a part of me feels like that. I don't know. But then I'm glad he didn't, because then I would have to hurt his feelings or something, because again, I still wasn't in a good space. Mm-hmm. And that's been some years now. I'm only now getting into a good space where I'm like, maybe I'm ready. Maybe. I don't know. So I don't know if he was in love with me. He never said, I'm in love with you. But boy, he made it clear to let me know, man, I love you. I love you so much, often. So, I don't know.
Well, he probably was in love with you. And that's a little tough when you're in love with somebody, and you are aware that they may not be in love with you, but you might. But unless that's your requirement, it can work out. Like, okay, maybe I'm in love with them. They're not in love with me, but they do still love me. We might be able to still, make this thing work. And like I said, so many times we get into this thing where we require somebody to feel the same way that we feel about them and improve it. And that just doesn't always work. That's not always the ticket right there. But that's
things down our throats from childhood. We go to church and We're taught this book says we have to do X, Y, Z, and we're supposed to do this to be in love. We're supposed to get married. We're taught this everywhere we see in television and books. It's always Romeo and Juliet and the Cinderella and all these different things. This is what we're taught. So we don't get it. We don't get it until one day we get it and we're like, damn, why didn't we do this before? Because then you grow up and you mature. When you get into a different headspace, you understand it a little different. You understand the dynamics of what it means to love, be in love, I guess, to share your life with someone else. And it comes with a lot of questionable things that you really listen. Something as simple as music could be a deal breaker for me. And I know that sounds crazy, but it could be a deal breaker for me. Because if I like this type of music here, which I like all genres of music for the most part, but if you're like, I hate hip hop and I hate trap music and I hate jazz and I hate classical music, then we might have an issue because I love all of those. And there's a chance I'm going to wake up at 6 in the morning and you're going to hear jazz, and then by 3 you might hear some blues, and by 6 you're going to hear some trap. And I want you to be okay with that. But if you're going to bitch about it the whole time, then that's a no for me, because that's how I am. But I'm willing to compromise with you. I can always compromise. But if this is all the time, then no. And I think that's a part of it too. We have to include that in there. So there's a level of tolerance where love exists. And if you're not able to tolerate certain things, then maybe you're not in love or love. And that's a hard pill to swallow that we don't want to take.
Yeah, it definitely can be. It can be more than a challenge for some people, but keeping the lines of communication open is so important. And even though a lot of people don't do it, I think that if they tried it, if they did it more often, if they made a greater effort at it, then they would probably like the results that they get. There's nothing wrong with making your expectations known and asking for the set of expectations that somebody has for you. It could be, if nothing else, it could be a blueprint on how to construct boundaries, how to set boundaries and respect them. And I don't see how things can go wrong if you follow those guidelines. But hey, we trip and fall all over ourselves, all the time, and shit can really get out of hand. But we still got to try. Getting straight to the topic of love being transactional. I know how hard it can be for some people to move forward after they've been hurt by somebody. It can change the way you do things, especially if you don't really know yourself that well. You know what I mean? One thing about not knowing yourself too well is that you try to reach conclusions quickly. The more you know about yourself, the slower you are to, jump to conclusions about certain things. You know what I mean? Because
do we really know ourselves sometimes? Because listen, it was just a recent show you had that I was like, damn, these guys are right. How do you know that about me? And I thought, who knows me better than me? But it took that conversation that you and Troy and I had for me to realize, whoa, I might be wrong here. I didn't know this about me. So that's another one. Do we really know ourselves? Because it took that for me to recognize something about me that these guys saw that I didn't see. And no one else has ever said it to me. And maybe because, they're not in that kind of intimate relationship with me. So maybe they don't see it the way these guys saw it. but they're in unison. They're not friends. They don't know each other, but they're in unison about this one thing about me that it took that show for me to be like, wait a minute. Do I do that? Is that me? What? So that's the other thing too. Do we really know ourselves sometimes?
Well,
because I probably know me very well, but maybe not.
At least you didn't reject what you were learning about yourself. You know what I mean? So you may know yourself up to a certain extent, but when certain things challenge you, you may have to reinvent yourself and relearn yourself. The more you learn about anything, the more you have to learn about yourself in comparison to it or in relation to it. You know, this is Throwback Thursday. Let's get real about relationship Thursday. I used to smoke when I used to smoke weed, and I smoked weed just about every day for a year from 93 to 94. And one day, and this is actually what made me stop smoking weed. One day, I was smoking, and it made me, I don't know what this weed was or whatever, or what was going on in my life, but I felt like I could step outside of myself and see me from somebody else's perspective.
Mm.
And it scared the shit out of me. This actually made me stop smoking weed. Because it made me uncomfortable. Because now I had to confront myself from other people's views. So whereas my comfort zone was the way I felt about the world and the way I felt about myself and the way that I saw everything, this weed had me like I was sitting across from myself and seeing myself. And it was asking me, and I am asking myself all kinds of questions that I would have rejected anybody else asking me. I swear it scared the shit out of me. So we watching.
That was supposed to happen.
It was. And really, my life was never really the same after that. I stopped smoking weed. After that was my response to it. And that's a lot of people's response. Well, I ain't gonna do that no more. But then again, other people might, like, well, I might not smoke that no more, but I'm gonna still keep smoking or whatever. But it made me uncomfortable enough to the point where I said, nah, I ain't fucking with that weed no more. But I didn't forget the experience, and I had to build on that, because now I can't go back to what I was thinking before. I couldn't go back to how I felt before. I could not look at myself. I couldn't just do things and act out in certain ways and act like I didn't affect anybody or that I didn't look a certain type of way or any of that shit. I couldn't do it. And it was the same. It was almost the same way when I stopped drinking. Same shit. When you discontinue your crutch. So weed was my crutch at 23 and 24, and alcohol was my crutch even before then, and then going into my 40s.
That's something. That's wow. That's wow.
Yeah, and even
it was meant to happen because you was probably heading down a different path or something.
Well,
that was destructive just for your health.
Well, one thing about, I only drank on the weekends, and I wasn't the quintessential alcoholic. But you don't have to be. Just because you're not all in the way that people who are all in, it doesn't mean that you're good for yourself. You know what I mean? Like I said, I got 3 DUIs. I wasn't cool. That shit's a pain in the ass. That's a hell of a hole to try to have to that's a hell of a hole to dig yourself into and have to climb yourself up out of. And only you can do it. So yeah, getting to know yourself evolves. So the more you learn about any and everything else, the more you have to learn about yourself in relation to it. So you have to confront a lot of things about yourself that you may not be comfortable with. And a lot of people just go ahead and keep using the substances or drinking or whatever, because alcohol is a substance just like anything else. They do it so they can just forget about everything else, even though it's temporary. But that temporary thing becomes more permanent because you keep using it more and more to dull the pain that you're really inflicted on yourself by not confronting the issue. I understand that now. You know what I mean? And that's not an easy thing to come to grips with. So just like I stopped drinking, one of the conditions I could have put on, or not the conditions, I'm sorry, or one of the transactions I could have put on somebody, like, maybe I won't mess around with a woman who drinks. But I never did that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do what you do. I'm not going to be with nobody that's a straight drunk or alcoholic or anything like that, because they a pain in the fucking ass. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I mean, somebody who drinks or whatever, like, I mean, that ain't no really big deal. Just because I don't do it doesn't mean that nobody else should do it. Just because I didn't handle it that well doesn't mean that somebody else won't handle it well. So,
because you have conditions in relationships, you should have some kind of conditions. There are certain things that you, I don't know, maybe it's just tolerances, things you're going to tolerate. I don't know how you want to call them. Still conditions, I guess.
No, there's nothing wrong with conditions. But when we're talking about your love being, there's a difference between a transaction and a condition. You may have a condition of whether you're going to continue along with somebody. When your love is transactional, this has to do with everything before y'all ever do anything and all throughout. So you know how people have this argument all the time about the word submission. And so you might, you'll see memes and things about posts and things about, I don't, like a woman might say, I don't mind being submissive to a man, but in order for a man to have submissiveness from his woman, he has to be a leader. He has to do this, that, and the third. Okay, all right, that's cool. It sounds good and all of that. Those will only be transactions as if when you audit it day by day, instant by instant. You understand what I'm saying? So when you say your love is transactional, in other words, we're going to revisit this agreement every single day, or at least so often that it almost is uncomfortable. But as long as we okay with it, we good.
Girl, that's terrible. That sounds awful.
Right. So that's different than conditional. Because conditional might be like, I mean, conditional is, well, listen, you know what I mean? Listen, I'm all in with you unless you don't treat me right. You don't treat me right, I'm out. That's a fair condition. You start putting your hands on me, I'm out. That's a fair condition. You don't show me any kind of respect, I'm out. That's a fair condition. Transactional is like, all right, listen, all right, this is what I'll do. I'll marry you if you do this, that, and the third. I'll marry you if you make sure that if you first throw 5,000 in my account, cash at me 5,000, and I'll marry you. Then y'all go ahead and get married. Now now you putting transactions on your heart. Like, well, yeah, I'll treat you right if you make sure that money keep coming through. Oh yeah. I'll show you respect as long as you doing what you supposed to do. You know what that is. Like.
Can you associate that with love though? That's nothing. That's not relationship. That's not love. That's nothing.
It's not. But
nothing.
but because it's transactional and people mistake what love is all the time, to somebody that's love. So yeah, I'll treat you okay. I know I haven't been the best boyfriend or the best girlfriend to you, but I will as soon as you do this. Like, like, I don't know, you let my mom fell on hard times, you let her come live with us, then you know what I mean, I'll be the kind of woman you want me to be. Fuck, are you crazy? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, love is transactional. If you don't know what love is in the first place, you can you can let anybody dress anything up and call it love.
That's the key. If you don't know what it is in the first place, that's it right there. If you don't know what it is in the first place, a lot of people don't.
I'll say a lot of people really don't. So, you know, it's not that they're stupid or slow or anything like that. They just don't understand.
And we weren't taught that. It's just we weren't. There's always been the story of you get this person, you fall in love, you get married, you have a kid, you live in a white picket, fence house, yada yada yada. Right. That's what just how it works. We're taught. You get a job, you work that job until it breaks you down to nothing. You retire and then you just fuck. That's what we're taught. That's the American dream, but we're not taught about other stuff about how to navigate this world so you survive. So,
yeah, man, it can be confusing, but that's what I'm saying. You know, you gotta learn about yourself. You gotta know about yourself, and once you start to get to know yourself more and understand that whatever you've learned about yourself, you're going to have to revisit that. You're going to have to learn a little bit more because you're learning, you're growing, you're expanding, you're elevating, you're progressing, and so you got to get a hold on that. It's like being on a job and seeing developments in the industry. So
you should always grow. I mean, when do you stop growing? You should stop growing when you die. You should always grow every day.
Some people stop growing. Some people purposely stop growing. And you know, yeah, it happens. Some people don't really want to grow because when you grow, you got to change. And when you change, sometimes you you lose people. Like going back to the whole drinking thing with me. The thing, like if I had drinking buddies, or if I was on drugs, and you know how drug addicts, they run in packs. So what happens when somebody get clean? They can't run in that pack no more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's done. You know, they done went and got clean. Shoot, it's hard for the people that are still getting high to even trust them anymore, because now it's like, well, you know, he gonna start judging us and telling us that we need to do this and we need to do that. You know, that shit can be a mess.
It can be, but it should be. I think that's how you mature and narrow down your circle. It doesn't mean you love those people or care about them any less, but it just means they're not in that part of your life now. It means, and that's how we develop different types of relationships, different groups of friendships. Because now you have this mature group over here that you want to be around and spend time with. And even though that's your old friend, it doesn't make them any less of a friend. It just means, hey, I'm doing something different over here, and you still want to stay there. And that's okay too. And those are things we don't say. It's okay too. I know somebody now who doesn't know how to differentiate between a past life and a different life they're trying to have. And people struggle with that. So.
Yeah, people struggle with all kinds of shit, and it's when you're afraid of yourself, you know, if changing lanes or just acting like if changing lanes or getting to a different place where you have to meet different people, do different things, change up your techniques and all of that. If that scares the bejesus out of you, yeah, you will stop growing. You will stop growing a long time ago because growth is not what you're looking for. It's like when people say, I want the money, fuck the fame. I'm like, well, you in show business. Guess how you get the money? Like, it would be different if you came in as a promoter or producer or director or something like that. You came in as a performer. So you can't get the money without the fame, son. That ain't for you.
And that's why they get upset. Some celebrities get upset when people want to talk to them out in public, and it's like, well, did you? I'm not saying we should be able to disrespect them or anything like that, but you have to know you're going to have fans everywhere you go, and this is part of living that life. I'm not condoning any disrespectful action, but what I'm saying is, this is going to happen when you're out in the world. So don't act like a jackass because somebody approaches you. Yes, if somebody's being disrespectful, you with your baby and you're breastfeeding your baby and somebody's trying to get an autograph and pictures and stuff, well, then that's what I'm saying, being a jackass. But if you just out walking with your people, if you walking down the street or going to a restaurant, somebody's going to stop and speak to you. Don't be a jackass about it. Mm-hmm. So it all goes hand in hand. And this whole thing, love is transactional in a sense, but I don't subscribe to that stuff that's not real love. Hey, we're gonna get this big house if you say you love me and we together. No, we're not gonna get shit together. How about that? That doesn't count to me. I'm talking about the real, true, hand in hand, we're gonna do this. I'm not talking about I'm counting your pockets to see if I love you. I need to see what kind of car you have to see if I love you. I'm talking about the real, I love you because I like you. I'm comfortable with you. I'm happy to be with you. We have a good time together. And I don't mind spending my life with you and spending this part of my life with you. I don't mind sharing some secrets with you. We can have some pillow talk. And hey, we can get in the bed and we don't have to do nothing but cuddle. Mm-hmm. And when we go to sleep, we're going to go to sleep. It ain't about you get in and slide in. It's about let's get in this bed and slide under the covers and snore. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
That's the truth. That other shit is nothing. That transactional love, the two don't walk hand in hand because it's not real. Although some people believe it is. And like you said, we live in a world now where reality TV exists and it's warping our youth and these Instagram, TikTok, all that's warping the minds of youth where they have no idea what love is. And unfortunately, we don't have parents and grandparents, and they are seeing households where people are married together. They're being introduced to lifestyles that are unrealistic, like polyamorous crap and all that shit. And all of it is so big and blown. And hey, we live in separate houses. We're married, but we live in a separate house. And all that bullshit. Mm-hmm. That's open our youth, so they're not going to know. And that's the sad part. That's the sad part. So what was already damaging is now going to be destroyed if we don't do something better about it. And as you're speaking about this transactional love, that's one of those things we should be telling people that the two, they should feel like heat on your tongue when you say it together. But they don't go together. They should make you feel like you want to vomit because they don't match.
I can dig it. You are a pill. All right, we out of here.
Okay. That was good. Well, thank you for putting me on the spot today. I appreciate it.
You already know it was going to happen. It was going to happen. You know what I mean?
Let me call before he calls me because what is he doing?
Yo, but I appreciate you. You already know.
All right, have a good one. Have a good one, family. Stay safe.
All right, have a good night.
All right.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, y'all. Let's go to this poll. Let's go to the poll. Let's see. The question was, and I had to do it like this because I know this topic was a little bit complicated. All right, is love for free or does everybody have a price? 48, I'm sorry, out of 22 people, 45% said love is free. Love is free. 36% says everything in life has a price. 0% says it's okay for love to be exchanged. And 18% said, what are you talking about? I get it. I do. Let's do these birthday shout outs. We have some birthday shout outs to do. Some people were born on this glorious March 27th, and they deserve to be acknowledged. So let's go about our business of acknowledging them and making them feel special because they are special because they are special because they are SPECIAL. We get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. We get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. We get the RESPECT. They get number one out the box. You know, I'm going to save him for last because I want to show y'all this. All right. My man, Roz Price, happy birthday to you. And also, Stephen Pugh, my girl, Cicely Harris Holly, Dandazo Masoka, and Reflection Cafe Jefferson, and my man, Carl Lofton. Now, I'm going to show you my man, Carl Lofton, because this is a throwback picture. Every time his birthday comes up, for some reason, they show this picture. And this is us when we were 16. I'm the one on. Okay, hold on. Let me turn the thing around. All right, y'all see me right there? Y'all see me? That's me. I guess it's on y'all left. So that's my man Carl at the top staring down. That's my man Daryl in the middle. And that's me on the left. Crazy. Y'all see, I don't even look 16 years old. I was so young looking back in the day, but that was me. And this picture always comes up when it's his birthday. So happy birthday, my man Carl Lofton. Happy birthday to you, my dude. You know what I mean? Keep banging, keep doing your thing. All right. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind. And anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours. And remember, man, when your love is transactional, that means that you put a price on everything that you do dealing with your heart. Does it work? Is it possible? Is it realistic? Is it just a fantasy? Are we listen? You know they say there's a sucker born every minute, right? Well, somebody doesn't necessarily have to be a sucker when they have strong feelings for you and are willing to bend to your whims. You know, like Kim's whims. Anyway. You know, it sounds like a way to take advantage of somebody, but sometimes when your love is transactional, it can be reactionary because somebody who you were really in love with or had strong feelings with from before really took unfair advantage of you, and you're trying to make sure that you avoid that type of situation by any means necessary. There's nothing wrong with protecting yourself. Protect yourself, guard your guard. But at some point, your heart is going to take your guard away. It's going to make yourself impossible to guard. I get it. Hey, life, if life was easy, everybody would live it for a long time. It ain't like that. So sometimes, you know, while you're living this life, you do your best to try to make things as seamless as possible. And maybe making your love transactional may be the thing that you think will make your life a little bit easier until you can get your trust up, your confidence up, your belief up in somebody or something. Peace to all my day ones, my everydays, and my brand news. I love y'all to death. Resuscitate y'all. I love y'all right back to life. We will be back tomorrow night at 2 a.m. No, tomorrow's Friday. So we will be back at 1 a.m. tomorrow night. Make sure y'all come through at 1 a.m., not the 2, the 1. And we will be back in here, you know, tall in the saddle, riding hot. And y'all know we talking about music tomorrow. Let me see if I have a music topic yet. Because if I don't, I will. Watch. I bet you I do. Think I won't? Let me see. Zim, zim. Zim, zim, zim. I kind of do, even though I don't know. I don't know if let me see what y'all think of this one. Because I like for the Friday show to be fun, and I don't know if this one would be fun. I was going to talk about what do bands do when the leading singer dies or the leading act, you know, the soul of the group. Think like Earth, Wind, and Fire when Maurice White died. Like, what we going to do now? Led Zeppelin when the drummer John Bonham died. What we going to do now? The Beatles was already broken up when John Lennon died, so you know. But I don't know if I want to do that one. But y'all let me know. Y'all let me know, would y'all be interested in talking about that? Because I don't know. I don't know. I might be able to. Well, I think I'll be able to come up with something that's a little bit better than that. But y'all let me know if y'all interested in that one. Kim says we kind of touched on that in some form on other shows. Okay. All right, good. Because I didn't want that to. Good. Yeah. We'll do something else because I didn't really want. I ain't really. You said 10 p.m. on the West Coast? Yep. That's what it'll be. 1 a.m. on the East is 10 p.m. on the West. So, yeah. It's going to be a music show tomorrow. We'll have something dope. We'll have something that we can debate on, go back and forth with, have a lot of fun with. So make sure y'all come through tomorrow night. Hit the like button, y'all. Share the show. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. I hope y'all enjoy listening to the show as much as I enjoy broadcasting. I get back with y'all. Holla!